Sort of break it down like this.
We've got the Council of Gyms present.
Gang hang. Good morning. We do. We have a strange amount of gyms on this board.
A quorum of gyms.
Yeah, that's crazy. Actually,
it's like that. It's like that offensive line on Shorzy.
Yeah. So, Jim, sounds good, Coach. Jim, you got it, Coach. Jim, I'll be there.
Yeah.
I love the gyms.
Turn on my camera. Sorry.
All right.
Hey,
we're gang hanging.
Naked just because I don't have my camera on.
Where do we want to start? Do we want to start with
Matt
the
would
question of
have
the
you
week, or we were talking about Avatar? I think we should dig in there. Avatar just dropped. The internet fucking hates it. I have not watched any of it. I don't know.
Well, let's do the question of the week because we'll get sidetracked if we don't.
All right.
And then we'll circle back around to topics.
Well, does anybody want to talk about that? We were just talking about Avatar. Thoughts on Femme Fatales? Your favorite?
Yeah, favorite Femme Fatales. We reviewed we had an epic recording sesh with Willie Toots on Tuesday night. We recorded 2 hours worth of content about Elektra Assassin.
That's why we had to split it up. It's too big.
That's why it's going to be 2 episodes instead of 1.
Too damn big.
And let me tell you what, it is really something. But in honor of that, your favorite comic book or fictional Femme Fatales? I guess they don't have to be comic book.
So I love Silver Sable, but I think I love the idea of Silver Sable more than I love Silver Sable. Because I started thinking about it, it's like, my answer is Silver Sable. And I was like, what's that cool Silver Sable comic book I read? Oh yeah, they all suck. Am I missing one that was like really good?
They don't all suck. I mean the Silver Sable solo series.
Oh
sucked,
god, it's terrible. And the Wild Pack and all that crap.
Silver Sable's been in plenty of good comics, but
yeah, but there. Okay, I guess what I mean is there was nothing about that.
I can't
There was nothing about that.
I can't pinpoint the one grade. It's the here's the best.
That's what I'm
Silver
saying.
Sable story.
Yeah, sure, it's a perfectly good Amazing Spider-Man story, but if Silver Sable wasn't there, would it have been ruined? No.
Is it the Assassination plot or
Assassination Nation?
Assassination Nation, yeah.
I did love that. I loved that storyline.
I really liked her in the what was the second issue or the third issue of Uncanny Spider-Man with Nightcrawler.
At first I didn't like that she was working for Orcus, but it all turned around in the end.
Well, I mean, she knew what was up. And she goes where the money is sometimes too. So
I mean, yeah, she's a mercenary. Her goal is to fund her country.
Right.
Silver Sable Incorporated is Simcaria's chief export.
yeah.
Right.
So
well, when I posted my answer, my second answer, I said that it might stretch the definition of a femme fatale, which for me, I feel like the femme fatale is not the opposite, but the other side of the coin of fridging. She is a female character that is meant to push the story along, just not by dying, but by, either misleading the lead character or by putting the lead character in some type of peril.
Yeah, that's the definition.
So I think Lucifer,
basically, I they cause Lucifer men distress. That's the definition.
And or at least the protagonist doesn't have to be a man, per se. So Lucifer from Wicked and Divine, I think they are a perfect example of a femme fatale because they are the linchpin of that first story arc, and they put that lead character in a they propel that lead character on their story journey.
I mean, fair. I guess I just always go to old school spy, assassin, whenever I hear that term. You know?
Detective.
Yeah, I wouldn't be Angela. Yeah, she's like an angel and she's Thor's sister and she's so bad at,
Well, I mean, not every female character or even badass female character is a femme fatale.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah, that's why my first answer was the redheaded chick from Fraction and Naja's Hawkeye series. I mean,
yeah. Right.
Her in is straight up a stereotype of the detective femme fatale.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And she's great.
I really liked Brian's example from Sleeper. What was her name, Brian?
Oh, Miss Misery.
Miss Misery, yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, you know what? And I bet Brubaker works are lousy with them.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Femme Fatales all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
At Brubaker stuff.
Yeah, like I told Brian, that inspired me to go back and read Sleeper for the first time.
Sleeper was great. It's so good.
So good.
I love
Sleeper.
I'd never read it before, and I'm finally getting my money's worth out of my DCU subscription.
Nice. Proud of you.
That's cool that all that Wildstorm stuff is up there, too. I'm glad that's cool, because that's a book I loved so much and wanted more of, and it's still played on all the dumb continuity, but kind of just went, we're going to do our own thing as well, you know?
Well, sure. Like Dow was in it. And
oh, yeah.
From the Wildcats.
Yeah. Loved it. And I love that character.
Like John Lynch is like a big part of the inciting action, starting with like Point Blank, John Lynch and Grifter.
Well, he worked for Lynch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I understand, but like Sleeper is not right. The guy from Sleeper worked for Lynch. Like he's deep undercover.
Yeah.
But like it all started with that Grifter miniseries. It was basically like a Grifter John Lynch series, Point Blank, and that was like the prelude to Sleeper. And,
Brian told me to start with that one. I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah,
it's really good.
It's good. It's good. Point Blank is good.
Really solid. And that's like your first Brubaker and Phillips team up, right?
Phillips did Phillips? I don't think Phillips drew Point Blank.
Yeah, I think he did.
Colin Wilson.
Oh,
Colin Wilson. Thank
you. Sorry.
And then they did. I think Phillips inked that Scenes of the Crime.
Okay.
Book that Brubaker
Scenes of the
did with
Crime.
Michael Lark,
yeah,
like a million years ago. That Vertigo book. And then they're doing the spinoff called Sleeper, and I'm like, I guess that sounds cool. And it was 24 and a half great issues.
Yeah.
Scenes of the Crime. Scenes of the Crime. Matt, isn't that the book that we did with Dave DeMarco for Take a Look at Zen Book one month?
I believe so, because they finally reprinted it, and it had been out of print.
It came out in a sexy new hardcover from Image.
Yeah.
Because it's creator owned, even though it came out from Vertigo originally.
Yeah.
They Scenes of the Crime is good.
It was really good. Yeah. That was like his first dalliance into, I think I might start writing crime noir stuff. And then it was like off to the races from there.
Well, I mean, it was very early in his career. So.
Yeah. Any other Femme Fatales? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well,
Brubaker.
Sorry, Brubaker wrote a bunch of old, like before because he used to be like a cartoonist who did, what's it called? Stray bullet knockoff stories. He was doing those kind of bad guy, femme fatale, blah blah blah. Dirtbag, like a lot of dirt. It might even be called dirtbag. It's like a lot of dirtbag stuff. And he did
I think Dirtbag was the one that was the autobiographical, like semi-autobiographical.
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, he talked about his old life and kind of the roughness of it. But he did a book with Jason Lutz through, I think it was Fantagraphics, called The Fall, which is stunning because Jason Lutz is, unbelievable. And it's just like a novella kind of thing. And it's great. And then that kind of got him the Vertigo stuff. And then he did that Dead Enders book about like the future mods on the scooters, which was kind of goofy.
Oh yeah,
Dead Enders was great. Philip Bond. Yeah, man.
Love Philip Bond so much.
I've never read The Fall. I'm gonna have to find this and read it. I've never read this.
Jason Lutz, our buddy Max Riffner, designer of twoheadednerd.com, creator of the original Two-Headed Nerd logo. Like he did the little cartoony drawing of me and Matt that's on the website that's in the background of all of our stuff. He studied under Jason Lutz when he was getting his master's degree at the Center for Cartoon Studies in Vermont.
That's dope.
It's pretty incredible.
That's super dope. Yeah, that's awesome. Anybody else want to hit a Femme Fatale? We can always come back to it. Otherwise, I want to talk about Avatar. I want to hear about this crap.
Yeah, let's talk about Avatar. Yeah. I got nothing more to say about Femme Fatale.
Jim, you watched all of it.
Yeah.
And you said the first episode was the worst, which is a great way to start.
Yeah, it was really bad. Like, I'm glad I powered through, but when you have like the same exposition dump like 3 times within 35 minutes, you're like, what? Why?
Oh boy.
Why?
Oh boy.
Like, do you think people are stupid? Like, I didn't understand that. I mean, you can tell that they spent a lot of money on it. It looks great.
Does look
action sequences are amazing. I think the side characters overall did a good job on that. Acting, okay, so
the acting's bad, right? The acting I heard is bad.
Oh, okay. Aang, the main character, is so hit and miss, and he's more miss than hit. And it's really bad. Katara is not. Oh my god. Like, they're like the two main characters, and like they have no chemistry. I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Why?
It's like they found somebody, and they're like, "You look the part. You're perfect." And they're like, "He can't act." And they're like, "Don't worry, we'll figure that out."
Yeah,
don't worry.
I mean, they're little kids. But yeah, I like there are plenty of good kid actors, but
like the rest of the cast is actually really good. So it's a lot of hits and a lot of misses. I think like right now, Rotten Tomatoes, 59 critic, 75 audience. I think that's fair though. I think it's still good. But
did the changes they made that everybody was mad about, did they piss you off? Like, was it noticeable? Was it as bad as everybody thought those changes were going to be? Because that was the thing going into this. Everyone's like, I'm already mad, Okay.
Like they try to make it. Okay, so they try to make it super serial, like super serious on everything.
Right.
So everything is about war and how bad war is, but they say it all the time. It drives me absolutely crazy. But because some parts when they have it where it makes sense is really done well. We'll say episode 4 is really done well, but then they keep like hammering it in. Like you don't need it hammered in every single new character, and it drives me crazy.
I mean, so you love war, so we get it. Like,
yeah, no,
making war look bad. I get that. Yeah.
So ultimately, I'm going to go say it works based on great supporting cast, great effects. They cut stuff out, but the main story's still there. They added a lot more Fire Nation stuff, so the villains. Yeah.
So ranking this with the other, and I realize that it's not a full-on anime. I get it. This is an American show it was an American animation that they have, but we'll say animated to, real life. Ranking it on those shows that Netflix has done, would you put it on par with One Piece, below One Piece, on par?
It'd be a tier. It'd be a tier below One Piece. One Piece just has a way better cast,
but above Death Note.
Is pretty. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Above Death Note, above you.
I don't feel like that's hard. That's not a low. That's not a high bar to like.
I'm just trying to figure out how bad it sucks.
To jump over.
Yeah, I like
No, it doesn't. I'm not going to say it sucks. Anyone who says it sucks just hates one. They want a 1-to-1 recreation of the anime. Like that's not going to happen, boys and girls.
Right.
So I watched the first episode, and I'm a person that I have tried and failed to get into the Avatar: The Last Airbender cartoon.
That's me
4 times.
Same here. I can't do it.
It's not that I don't recognize its quality. I totally get that why people love it. I totally understand that it is a celebrated thing. It's just I had a hard time staying interested in it. Especially in contrast to The Legend of Korra, which I love.
Didn't watch it.
But Legend of Korra is also like
it's more like adult.
It's slightly more mature, and the characters are older. The storytelling's a little more mature. It's also like more modern. So like it's still kind of dated, but it's also it takes place in cities, and like it's that sort of like window dressing I found more interesting, and I ended up really loving The Legend of Korra, even though I'd only seen a little bit of Avatar. So I watched the first episode of the live action show yesterday. And it was fine. But I felt the exact same way I felt about the cartoon. I was like, this is fine.
Yeah, I watched the trailer and I went, I think I'll just wait and see what the other guys think about it.
I thought the effects were really good. I think that the show is well cast as far as visually. I don't know if I super agree with some of the casting choices for like Uncle Iroh and Like, I don't know. I feel like that guy should be a little bit more old and cuddly grandpa-ish. The guy they got for Uncle Iroh is a little young in comparison. But again, I'm not an expert. I also keep seeing, like, if you hover over Avatar on Netflix, one of the backgrounds that will pop up is Daniel Day Kim from Lost and Angel, as a character that I don't know. But every time that pops up and I see it, I think it looks kind of silly. And I don't know if it's just because I'm so familiar with the actor that seeing him done up like that makes me laugh a little.
I mean, he is playing the main villain. He is playing.
He's the main villain, so he's he's the
evil.
dad.
He is evil. Yeah, he's the dad. He is evil.
He's Zuko's dad.
Big jerk face.
Yeah,
and I think he did a pretty good job because in the original you don't get the Fire Lord till much later.
Yeah,
like he's always in the background. You don't hear him talk. You hear about horrible things he does, but you don't have He's actually voiced by Mark Hamill. Second and then the third season of the original. So
fair.
Yeah,
but I think that otherwise though, I thought that the casting was at least visually spot on. I think that the element bending effects are very cool.
Yeah, they're very
Appa, the flying the sky bison looks great. That whole scene where Aang escapes from the ice is breathtaking. Like it's a very good looking show.
Yeah.
But
But the kids.
I can understand why people are mad because it's like you have kids and you're just overhitting the serious nature of this. And then
was the cartoon more like joyful and like, or was it?
Yes.
Well, I thought the cartoon was pretty serious.
I mean, it's a cartoon on Nickelodeon, so it's much more whimsical.
Yeah, it starts very kiddish. Ventures of the Week as he slowly learns what he has to be responsible, but he deflects his responsibility a lot because he's a kid. He's scared, and then eventually he grows into that role. And it's it's very well done. A lot of world building, great characters. But this one, it's like, we got to push him real fast, and so
fair enough.
I can understand why people won't like it. Like if you're a big fan of it, but I mean, if this turns other people to watch the original, I think that'd be really good.
Fair enough.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right.
That's totally fair.
It's not as like most things, it's not as bad as people say, but man, it's just a better main cast with those two. I think it could have been.
So I read some people just ripping it up.
He's he's a young kid, man. I don't want to rip on him, but man, sometimes it's just like, what are you doing?
Well,
I tend to give
the negative stuff that I read wasn't going after that. Like they didn't go after the kid. They were like, Netflix, don't put this kid on camera. You know better. Like people, you can find someone who can act and do this and look like whatever. Like you picked this kid. I'm not mad at the kid.
That's a way of slamming the kid by going after the adults.
But it's the truth. I mean, they picked someone who's not a very good actor. They didn't have to do that.
Sure. So something interesting that I read, there were a lot of clickbait sites were making a bunch of hubbub about how they made Sokka less sexist, quote unquote.
So Sokka, in the original show, he makes a lot of sexist comments, and he's trying to be like his dad. In the original plot, they do address his dad left.
It's a Nickelodeon show, though. You just said it's whimsical and fun. Yeah. Like, what is he saying? Is he talking about people's boobs? Like what?
No. It's like
men should fight, be in the kitchen.
Girls aren't good enough. Yeah, exactly.
It's fine. Like he still has his womanizing traits you see in the show. He's a big ladies' man. I think that works because I think in the second episode where they go to one of the other old Avatar shrines, that place was done really well. So I was like, oh, maybe the show won't be so bad because they didn't.
And actually, that's funny you mentioned that because that's the piece of criticism I read yesterday where they said they maybe the course correcting making Sokka less sexist kind of did a disservice to, I guess, I don't know, do they meet the spirit of the old Avatar or something? So to go back, when you reduce the sexism and the other characters like that, you're taking some of their edges off and you're making them more blandish, I guess, and making them more safe.
So you kind of lose like kind of the nuance of some of the characters. I don't think it was that bad.
So it's fine. So Avatar is fine.
Who's
at the end of the day?
Who's the little girl? Who's the girl character that they meet in the second episode? That's kind of the big driving force of the episode. Is she the old Avatar?
No, in the second episode, so the old they go to a shrine because Aang can't. So when you're in the Avatar, you should be able to connect to the other Avatar spirits of your past lives. Right. So a big change in the show, which I'm not a fan of, is they have to go to an individual old Avatar shrine so Aang can talk to the past Avatars. And so the one Avatar they go to is Kyoshi, and Kyoshi is a big fan favorite because she is like, I will kill anybody. You mess with me, I'll kill you.
So it's Kyoshi then that this article was talking about. So what the thing I read was that like in the cartoon, Sokka's sexism played a purpose because he showed up and he's like, "You're just a girl. This girls can't do that." Oh, and she just like 100% just proved him wrong.
No. Okay, so Kyoshi, after she died, she like trained these women to fight. So they're called the Kyoshi Warriors. So then he meets
the basically Kyoshi Warriors. Yeah, okay,
right. So he meets these girls and he falls for one, and they're like badass warriors. And they kind of played up as like in the show, and this is the second episode. They kind of played up as like, oh, I'm out of my league here because they're actually like really good fighters.
Yeah. So it was this girl that he falls in love with. Then I guess.
Yeah, Suki.
I think, and I'm just going to throw this out there. Maybe we could do this in the Avatar spoilers thread, and keep moving.
No. I'm just I'm. This is a point of like, one of the points of criticism I read about the show was that in trying to sand the edges off Sokka, like you say, it does a disservice to this other character who in the cartoon like proves that his attitudes are outdated or they're not accurate, and that they're not justified he's not justified in his beliefs that he's superior to women. But in the way it's presented in the live action show, where he just like has this moment, like you say, a moment where he's like, "Ooh, I'm wrong. They're totally badass." That like she doesn't get the chance to like to serve that purpose, so it kind of like robs her of something. So I don't know.
No, it doesn't rob the female. It just robs him of like he doesn't. It just makes him feel like more of a womanizer than a guy that's like bound to change.
Gotcha.
Like respect, but it's whatever.
Mark Stern, speak to that real quick. Mark, jump in here if you don't mind. If you can't, you can't. I get it, but that's a good point, and that's exactly why I kind of couldn't get into Avatar.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I was agreeing with everything that you guys were talking about. That's why I didn't want to jump in. But I watched the first episode last night, and I don't want to bash on the kid acting because we all see what happened with the little guy that played
Jake Lloyd,
Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see this kid get bullied, but
Eddie Furlong too, or any of those guys.
And it was brutal. And if anything, like I talked to one of my friends this morning, and I know that she's like a diehard Avatar fan, and she was like, and I was like, I don't want to say anything about it before I find out what you thought. But in my mind, I'm thinking I'd rather go back and rewatch the cartoon again. Because the show, only after like one episode, did not catch me. And there was a lot of like jetpacking. You know what I mean? Like, they're at the North Pole, and then they're like, okay, well, I know where we can go. And they go to the air temple, and it's like, and it's boom, boom, boom.
Right.
And you're like, all right,
Final season Game of Thrones type, get on my dragon and I'm there type shit.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
I don't know. And I know that they're trying to squeeze us into like, what, 1 season, 2 seasons? But special effects are great, but you can say that about a lot of really average stuff like this.
That's exactly how I feel about the upcoming Godzilla King Kong movie. I'm like, special effects look great. I will feel nothing, You can't make me feel something, all right? I refuse.
Yeah, but here's what I was saying in the text message that I just posted was, don't let the first half of the first season of the cartoon throw you off, Joe. I mean, I was the same way. I watched it. I was like, this is a little too kiddie for me. But I felt the same way when I was like watching Rebels. And then by like the second season or the third season, when they start expanding the world, you're like, okay, wow. The stakes are bigger. It gets grimmer. People are dying. Their, relationships are getting fleshed out. It gets a lot better. I think it's really good. I think it's a really great show. And for the, on the merit of the latter seasons of Avatar, I would place it above Korra. And I love Korra too, but Korra just didn't have, I wasn't as invested by the end of Korra as I was with Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, but they fall in love.
Yeah, no,
it's so good.
Joe, how dare your opinion not match up with mine?
Son of a bitch, Mark. Whose show is this? God damn it!
No, okay, that's all. That's all I got. But yeah. I'll jump back in when you guys start talking about Ultimate Spider-Man, though. Okay?
Fair enough.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We can segue right into
Let's
that.
start talking about Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah. Just real quick before we move on, I just posted an enormously long screed in the chat. This is a bit of the thing that I read that talks about the differences between the cartoon and the live action version for this episode and why they were critical of it in terms of what it does to Suki's character.
Post this in Nerd
You
TV.
guys can read that or not.
Let's start an Avatar thread for you guys. Just post it in there. Let's get on it.
Yeah, I will. I'm just saying I posted it in the chat for now.
now.
If you want to look. If not, that's fine. And I'll we don't really have an Avatar thread, but I can create
That's
one.
what I'm saying. Okay, before we get into Ultimate Spider-Man, real quick, we were talking about people online, with all like posting videos about bullshit and what's going on. So Henry Cavill. Let's do it. Let's do it real quick. Henry Cavill is reportedly in the Marvel Universe. Not Screen Crush. So I'm not even going to name their names, but some of these pieces of shit, like, we've got the inside scoop, and he's Captain Britain. Like, what?
No, nobody has the inside scoop about it.
Nobody has the inside scoop. But if you're going to do something and they have signed him to something, does that mean it's got to mean he's either in Thunderbolts or Fantastic Four, right? Nothing else is being made at the moment. Like, Blade is on hold.
Well, no, Blade's not on hold. Blade is still being made.
No, Blade. They haven't. They stopped filming Blade. They are rewriting the whole goddamn thing. Like, it's not being filmed.
I'm pretty sure that was like shit canned. Yeah, I think they're like back to square one with that.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if Mahershala Ali is part of it anymore.
We don't.
I didn't hear any of that.
We don't know for certain, but Blade is on hold.
Well, I know that the last I heard was that it was on pause because of the strike, but I didn't hear anything more than that.
Yeah.
But.
No. Okay. So it's got to be Thunderbolts or Fantastic Four, right? It has to be.
No, Marvel's probably got lots of stuff in the works that we don't know about.
But why would you be making Well, no one's making announcements. But why are
no one has announced anything, Matt? No one has announced anything.
Yeah. Well, what would we like to see him as? I mean, I'll take him as all kinds of stuff, but not Captain Britain. No.
Yes, Captain Britain, 100,000%. Why not?
Are you gonna do a Captain Britain? It's gonna be because I don't want to see him try and do a magical Captain Britain type character in this MCU. I don't think it would work, and I don't want him to just be Union Jack. If you're gonna do that, do Union Jack.
Saying magic doesn't work in the MCU?
I'm saying
sorry,
that
do
type
we not
of magic.
have magic in the MCU?
That type of magic would be asinine, and you even hate it in your X-Men comics, Joe.
Okay, nobody is suggesting that we get into other worlds.
That's where shit comes from. That's what I'm saying.
No, nobody is suggesting that has to happen in the MCU.
I don't. I'm just saying.
In fact, that kind of stuff didn't.
To have Captain Britain, you kind of do. It's the Arthurian.
No, you don't, Matt.
So then they're making a whole new character?
You don't even
I'm sorry. I missed the part in Arthurian legend where Roma and Saturnine show up.
Roma's part of that shit. Yes.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Well, Roma is Merlin's daughter, so maybe that's that example. But Saturnine and Otherworld and all that crap, that's not part of Arthurian legend.
No. So that is part of the Marvel character. Okay, and I'm saying if you're going to do it,
there are lots of parts of lots of Marvel characters that aren't in the movies.
Well, then what is Captain Britain? He's just a guy in a suit. He's just a British Captain America.
He's the British Superman.
Brian, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, the only character he should play is Puck, as far as I'm concerned.
I love it. Shrink him. Yeah.
Let's do that.
Do a full on Lord of the Rings, shrink him down.
Whatever technology they used to make Hugh Grant a Oompa Loompa, they should use that to make him Puck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or John Rhys Davies a dwarf, you know?
Peter Dinklage in Infinity War.
Yeah, they'll just
the reverse
180, and we'll do the opposite. I think you could absolutely do Captain Britain without all the other world stuff, because who cares?
Come on, seriously. Yeah.
I mean, at that point,
the thing where
I'm not saying I want it. I'm not saying that, but at that point, he's just another guy in a suit.
Yeah, they're all guys in the suits, man. That's Matt, what this is.
I suppose.
What are you? I don't understand this weird, attachment to Otherworld that you think will somehow diminish the MCU version.
I think you gotta have something about the magic of, the history of England that feeds this character and makes him who he is. I think that's very important.
It doesn't have to involve Otherworld. It can just involve old British magic.
Sure, they could do something like that, I suppose.
The first appearance of Captain Britain that I ever read was in it was a backup story in Marvel Team Up, and I don't know if it was a reprint of the actual first appearance or not, but all that was present in that is that Brian Braddock something happens and Brian Braddock is presented with a choice.
Yeah,
choose the Amulet of Right or the Sword of Might, and that will decide what kind of dude you're going to be, what kind of magical dude you're going to be, what kind of hero, whatever. He chooses the Amulet of Right. He becomes Captain Britain. Some other asshole chooses the sword and he becomes a villain. And that, I don't need anything more complicated than that.
I don't need.
Why does it have to involve Otherworld?
I don't need him to be Captain Britain. And I'm with John Bunger. Make him Colossus. Hell yeah. That dude can do a Russian accent.
Get out of town.
Make him Colossus. He's big enough to do it. He looks like him. He could do a Russian accent. Make him Colossus. Guy's an actor. That'd be awesome.
Guys, you know how money works in movies? They're not casting an A-list movie star to be Colossus and everything.
No, they're not.
Not in a million years.
Well, but then again, remember Colossus is a big part of Deadpool, and we've got money in Deadpool now, so maybe they think he's a star. I mean, I don't know. Maybe
they're doing Deadpool as cheap as they possibly can.
Teenage Nega Warhead, whatever, is probably going to show up too.
From what we've seen of Deadpool, a bunch of it takes place in the Arrowverse Canadian gravel pit.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly where they filmed the climax to Crisis on Infinite Earths. TV crossover.
Right.
Yeah. They're going to spend the money they need to spend. I'm sure Deadpool is going to be a fun time. But
it'll be
the idea
fun.
that they're pouring anything into it. No, they're saying, Ryan Reynolds, make fun of everybody. Don't insult us too much. We're going to try to, have a good time. And people are going to make $1 billion because people are going to see it 5 or 6 times.
The pegging line in the trailer.
Will.
The pegging line in the trailer.
It also could be... It also could just be if he is Captain Britain, maybe they dumb Captain Britain way down and they just decide, hey, England wants to have their own Captain America, just like Russia had the Red Guardian. And because that's kind of what they did in the Ultimates comics, right? Where there were these equivalents all over the world.
Okay.
And it could be as simple as something like that.
He could be the Silver Surfer.
Could be the Silver Surfer, I suppose. But I mean, then you're going to have a completely CG'd Cavill. Why? I mean, unless they hired him to be a voice and that's it, you can
He's the mocap actor for the Thing.
Get him on the cheap to be the voice.
They heard it here first. He's just the guy with all the little ping pong balls on him.
You just pay some skinny dude to do that, whatever. But bring him in, do the voice. All right, enough Cavill talk. Let's talk Ultimate Spider-Man, because number 2 hit this week. And number 1, while it was very good, it was sort of a slow introduction to the character, and then bang, last page, Spider-Man. This one dropped some baggage.
The original Ultimate Spider-Man number 1 was the same.
Yeah.
Where it's it's the very end of the issue. He's crawling on the ceiling of his bedroom, and that's the end of it.
Yeah. Mark, I know you wanted to talk about this one if you want to jump in, but there's 2 kids? Is that right?
Yeah, Richard and May.
We didn't meet Richard in the first issue, though, did we? We only met May.
Yes, we did.
I don't remember meeting Richard.
He was in.
Was he there? Okay. I couldn't remember meeting him.
Yep. He's older. He's like the firstborn. He's like May's older brother.
Right.
Named after Peter's dad.
Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, so I went back and I reread the first issue because I was like trying to figure out how he already got like a symbiote costume, right?
That's what that is, right?
It's not.
No, it's not. It's
Pico Tech.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
No. I just it is described as Pico technology, which I guess is one smaller than nanotechnology. I don't know.
Yep.
But, well, and if you remember, like in the first issue, he's holding that little silver orb that holds the message from Iron Lad / Tony Stark in this universe.
Right.
And the orb like kind of falls back like Tony Stark's nanotechnology armor, kind of, and it reveals the spider in a vial. And I'm assuming that the silver orb then turns into his new costume, right?
Maybe. Yeah.
So it was not the symbiote. So like that kind of threw me. But like then like going back and rereading the first,
it's very venom coded though. It's very like black, comes on and off at will. It's they know what they're doing. They're teasing you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scares his kid. Right.
So, and I think, Joe, you threw me off. I had something else in mind there. Go ahead.
So sorry. I apologize, Mark.
No, not your fault.
All right. Maybe I'll tee you up a little bit. You guys were talking like huge things were revealed in this issue, and I read it and I was like, where? It's very good. But like no huge developments happened.
No, I think it's more the state of this universe, more so than like when we read Black Panther, we were just like, oh, this is a Black Panther story. This is a completely different Spider-Man story. And so far,
we knew that when we read number 1 too.
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay, I got
it.
Hit us, Mark.
So what do you guys think about like Spider-Man? And they've always made like a big deal about he has these character moments where it's a death of Uncle Ben, or in Across the Spider-Verse,
right.
It's been a death of Uncle Prowler. In this, Aaron, I think they're leading up to we're going to see a death of Uncle Ben, and somehow he's going to be at Uncle Ben's side, and we already know that Jonah Jameson has like a bromance, like they're best friends with between him and Ben Parker.
I thought that was adorable.
And he's going to it's one of the best parts of the book.
It's
right?
great.
It's so good.
It was really good.
So, who would have thought? That's why I love Hickman. But yeah,
I keep waiting for them to reveal that they are like, it's like a Grace and Frankie situation. If you guys have ever heard or seen that show, where it's just like, oh, these old dudes realized late in life after their in Grace and Frankie they're still married, but they realize that they're actually in love with one another. But I don't know. I don't remember if they said anything about Jonah being married.
I felt the same.
Hold on, Brian.
So when I saw the same comments about the kind of the, other people got to talk about this. I don't want to spoil anything. And I was like, all right, what are we looking at? Like, we're going to see something. And I thought that extended scene of the two of them in a steam shower, I was like,
right. Yeah. They're
going to be holding hands at some point, like totally fine with it. But like, it's like, oh, that didn't go there. I thought, so there definitely is a, will they, won't they vibe in that, steam room. So.
I mean, and don't get me wrong. Like, look, I'm fine if they're just.
I think they're just buddies.
if they're just like.
I guess it's okay.
Yeah,
if
they're like,
I think they're
as
just
close
buddies.
as brothers or whatever. Of course that's.
I don't need them like touch tips or anything and be like, oh, they're in love.
They only did it once just to see what it would feel like. So, what I think, Mark, as a counterpoint to your theory, is that we already saw May. That May is dead as a result of what the Maker framed Tony for. And so he already knows that his aunt was taken from him by this villain. And he also already knows that he has this whole past life as a hero that was taken from him. And so I think his motivation might come from a different place rather than the death of a loved one that he could have prevented, you know?
We kind of saw it though, right? Or like he meets the Shocker in this one and he's like, I think I'm here to stop people like you. You know, like sometimes that's all it takes. Hey, I'm a good guy. You're being a bad guy, you know?
Can I say I'm just so happy that there was the Shocker again?
Yeah.
Because the Ultimate Shocker was, I don't want to keep comparing it to the old one, but Ultimate Shocker was also one of young Ultimate Peter's first villains. And I just love that the Shocker is the guy that they trot out in front of the new Spider-Man to just like real quick learn. Sometimes you're outclassed. Sometimes you have to prepare for a fight, and then you clean this loser's clock.
I do think this new Shocker's costume is a little better than the Ultimate Shocker's costume.
The Ultimate Shocker, the old Ultimate Shocker was awful.
Yeah, he looks like he was one of the sliders.
He looks terrible.
God, he was just stupid.
Yeah, sorry, Mark Bagley. Not every design's a winner.
No.
What do you guys think about the fact that for years editorial at Marvel has been like, no, we are not going to have a married Peter Parker. Absolutely not.
It's just stupid. It's stupid.
One more day.
It's the dumbest.
Finally, they're like, hey, you know what, Jonathan Hickman, go for it. You know what? Let's see this thing bomb. Let's just see it. And then like he puts it out and it crushes. It's so good.
Well, we also had that series not too long ago that was like, here's married Peter and they've got a kid, and it's like.
Yeah, renew your vows.
Yeah. We're having our cake. We're eating it too. You know?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's like I don't really like. Look, I want to pump the brakes before Mark devolves too far into the Matt Bomb school of conspiracy theories. Because Marvel doesn't ever make a decision that says, "Well, I'd like to see you try," because they don't want to lose money.
Well, sure,
but. They don't want to see things fail. But I think Matt, though, in this case is exactly right. There is no stakes for them creatively to allow Hickman to do this. First of all, it's Hickman. Second of all, the main Spider-Man is still unmarried.
Yeah, and
and so like this is basically an ongoing what if, and I think the readers understand that. Now, for old guys like me, I am thrilled to be able to read stories about older dad married Peter, because that's exactly what I've been begging for 15 years.
Let us not forget though, they were married, and One More Day was editorial saying we want him single. That's what they said.
No, it's true. Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is that Marvel editorial, and there are creator interviews where you can find, where you will find them say this. Marvel had been trying to come up with ways to get Peter and Mary Jane separated almost since the wedding happened, because they immediately felt caged by the marriage, which is stupid. That just means your writers aren't creative enough.
Right. And like, you want to pretend like 16-year-old boys are reading this? I got bad news, guys.
Sure. And like, do you think that I'm like, oh, it's his marriage to this supermodel that I find unrelatable amongst all the other very unrelatable things going on in the pages of Amazing Spider-Man? But yeah, like Marvel's writers felt stymied by married Peter Parker for decades. And then they finally did it. They were like, yeah, he meets the devil, and they touch tips, and then the marriage is over.
Yeah, and J. Michael Straczynski went, "Oh, you hate it? Not my fault. Joe Q did it."
Right, I didn't do that.
I'm fucking out of here, man.
Well, I mean, they have there's the issue of the writers wanting to do other things, but it's also the ongoing continuity problem of this guy that's been 60 years in Spider-Man, right? Like, right. What are you gonna do? He's always like 25 to 30 years old.
Yeah. And he's a moron that can't figure it out, can't get out of his apartment, can't get a real job.
So it's doing this in like an imprint spin-off thing, like go for it. Because it's been you guys don't want to know how long it's been since One More Day, because it's been a long time.
Oh, but, I know. Let's just not even say it out loud, please.
It's like yeah, almost legal. That's how long ago it was. It was a long time ago. So really terrifying. But they get to do both, and
Yeah.
great. I mean, it's whether it was Hickman or somebody else, like, great. I don't know. It doesn't really, it's a different Peter, and we know that. And that's kind of the point. Everything is kind of tilted. And I think that's kind of where the Black Panther book didn't hit its mark as hard, because it felt like, oh, this could be the new Black Panther relaunch.
Yeah. That was my
built far enough.
Yeah, that was my whole thing.
It just the only real twisty thing on that was, Killmonger and his partner. Like,
yeah,
that was kind of that's the only curve, but everything else is like T'Challa and the throne and his responsibility, and like it's the same story we've seen for a million years, which is why the Christopher Priest run was such a breath of fresh air, because it's like here, again 25 years ago, but here he is in New York City, living in the embassy. He's not dealing with the throne. He's not dealing with home. He has to fit into this world that he doesn't really want to be in, and he doesn't like, and doesn't fit. So it's like and Priest is great with dialogue and all that. So it made it a really interesting read. But
let me ask this about the Ultimate Black Panther book, because I haven't read it yet. It's not out on Unlimited, but it sounds to me like what the writers are going for is trying to make Black Panther a constant across universes, and they're highlighting the fact that he is unchanged amongst all of this external change around him.
Okay, that could be.
It just sounds like they're maybe not executing as well, or that's going to be an idea that takes time to root.
That could be, but that also, I don't know, we might be giving them too much credit, or they may have just be like patting himself on the back doing that. And like, yeah, you'll notice he hasn't changed at all because we couldn't come up with any new ideas, but he's the same guy because
you guys reviewed the Eve Ewing book, right? Like that new,
it's
put
great.
him in a different city.
It's great.
It's that kind of thing of like, it's not blowing the doors off, but like,
no,
hey, you know what? That was fun. It's him in he's in a new location. He's got a slightly different costume. It's him kind of figuring stuff out. Like,
he's Batmaning
that
right now.
Felt fresher.
Yeah.
It's like it's almost like it's like Nightwing and he goes to Bloodhaven.
Yes.
It's like it's that kind of thing. Like fish, fished in different water, figuring stuff out. Doesn't have a support system, doing it on his own, but doing what he does best. And the Ultimate book was like, it felt like a TV adaptation or a movie adaptation,
absolutely,
rather than this Ultimate Spider-Man book, which was. It's just different because he's an adult. He's married. Is all the status quo is so shifted in so many different directions that it's fresh and
it's even taking time with the way it's telling the story. Even the art was spread out. Like there's big panels of black, and there's just like one thing, and Peter's literally saying one thing to his kid, or Ben is saying one thing to JJ or something. Like they're letting this breathe, whereas that first Black Panther was like, here is everything you need to know about Wakanda and the Black Panther and Killmonger and his partner and what's going on in the world and the Moon Knight and these two. Like, okay, got it. Like, thank you. It feels like they're letting Ultimate Spidey breathe a little bit, and I think it's working really well.
Well, I think Ultimate Spider-Man is decompressed in a similar way to the original was, but not in such a way that is annoying.
Yes.
It doesn't feel like a waste of time.
Yes.
It doesn't feel like a waste of the issue. Like I wasn't blown away by the first issue, but I thought, there's something to this because Peter is likable.
Right.
When he's up there and you see the struggle on his face and he's like, I don't know. And he's on the roof and he doesn't know what to do. And he's like, it's still the Peter responsibility gene, right? Like, well, this is fate, or this was supposed to happen, and this is what I got to do. Because he could have been like, that sounds. I don't want to. It's what I got to be bitten by what and how and who. Like trusting this thing, like but it's that the Colonel thing where like this is who he is on the inside, and he does it, and now we get to see him as like a middle-aged dude, kind of get the crap kicked out of him by by F-list villains.
Yeah.
And,
there's
something to it.
It's refreshing. Right now, Amazing Spider-Man is the opposite of refreshing, I would say. And I'm just kind of tired of this regular Marvel Universe Spider-Man, where every 6 months they're like, Spider-Man screwed up. He really messed it up this time, and he's going to have to get confused and sad and dark. Like, come on. Yeah, we just have fun with Peter again. This book was kind of fun. Peter's nice. Peter lives in a nice apartment. He's married. He's not a moron, like he's just a guy kind of trying to figure it out. And I don't know. I'm done with Zeb Wells' Spidey. I'm just done with it. It's not working for me at all. This gang war shit. No, I'm done.
Well, I can't believe it's still going on.
It's going on until like through March. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's disappointing because I had hopes for Gang War. I was excited about that.
Nobody loves gang wars more than me. I love gangs, and when they war, it's the best. Like let's do it. But
I just like the idea of a crossover that takes the street level characters and bands them together.
Yes,
because they have to go up against all the crime families because they've decided to band together.
It writes itself.
That's a good concept. That is the writers trying to lose.
Yes.
If they can't get that right.
Yes, that's exactly my point. How did you make this boring? How did you make this so dumb?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
Yeah, I would say a perfect Spider-Man story, if you wanted to push him forward in the 616, would be to turn Spider-Man into a team book. Because there are so many spiders out there where Pete has to just realize that the only way to fully fulfill his with great power comes great responsibility edict is to delegate and to have him take a step back and be the guy in the chair and let Miles and Jessica and Silk and everyone else, that plays with webs, spread out around the city and take care of shit.
But if you do that, you got to realize this all leads to the death of all those characters, and it's Peter's fault, and he's going to have to figure out how he deals with it and the choice that he made. So get ready for them all to get killed, except for Miles, who we make money on. Miles doesn't die. Okay.
Right. I was gonna say, let's just kill Silk.
You can kill Silk. You can kill Silk. No one's going to be like, no, not Silk. The only one who didn't make the Madam Web movie? Are you kidding me? Come on.
That's all right. Failed. Lack of Silk.
Lack of Silk.
So,
had Silk been in Madam Web, I would have seen it 3 times by now. All right. Nice job, Sony. Come on.
All right. Let's make a jarring change of subject and talk about, before we wrap up, Marvel's big Disney Comics news. They announced the other day that for the first time, Marvel is finally putting out new Uncle Scrooge comics. And the fun thing is that it's going to be written by Jason Aaron.
And when you see Dewey dead with the needle in his arm, and Scrooge is going to have to figure out like who is behind the heroin push in Duckville, like it's going to be hard. It's going to be so hard.
Man. Oh man.
Launch pads going to be illegally flying in heroin and shit.
We have been talking about this, the odd relationship that
Uncle
Marvel
Scrooge,
has
the
with
cover
Disney
was Alex Ross
as far as their comics. Yeah, one of the covers is by Alex Ross.
It's fucking rad.
And so, like, Disney has been farming out their comics work for their comics for all ages to who is it? IDW? I think it's IDW.
IDW, yeah.
Yeah.
They do their Star Wars
IDW has been putting out the all ages hero stuff and the Duck books and like anything Disney related. Why isn't Marvel putting out Disney comics? We've asked so many times, and now they finally said, here it is, Joe. Jason Aaron's going to write it.
Well, first they said, let's put the final nail in IDW's coffin, and let's let Jason Aaron write Uncle Scrooge.
Well, but IDW's letting Jason Aaron write the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
True. So they don't own that, though.
If there was a comic announcement I was expecting less than Jason Aaron writes Scrooge.
It's not anyone's bingo
card. I can't really think of one.
It's pretty bonkers, right?
They didn't print this on any bingo cards. No, this is
yeah, right. Exactly.
Brian, talk about that though. You said like, okay, he's doing Scrooge and TMNT. Did he get divorced? Does he need cash? What if he's just bored doing his shit? He wants to do. He was just like, man, this is going to make me think differently, and I get to write differently.
He might have had a come to comics Jesus moment after writing 1,000 issues of Avengers that no one liked.
Could be.
Said, hey. Something's not going right.
Could be.
I gotta do something different, and he's doing that. I think the final issue of that Boom End of the World book. I think that comes out in May.
Once upon 15. A time at the end of the world.
Yeah. Which is good. I read that on Hoopla, but and that was such a departure from his, grim, scalped stuff. To see him doing that and.
I mean, it was still.
I don't know.
It was still dark, but it was like finding love in a hopeless place, kind of thing. Like.
Yeah, it's just it's weird. Like there's parts of it that don't feel like his writing, which I think is really interesting. Like it's a little bit like he doesn't do a ton of science fiction, and I mean, if you look at his other creator-owned stuff, I can't think of the names of them, but the one about like the football coach and like. It's
Southern Bastards.
Southern Bastard, yeah.
That book was
all that stuff
excellent.
It's great, but it's like it is feel bad comics. Like, and so he's kind of and like I mean I love Scalped, but like my God, like that is not a fun book.
Ultimate feel bad.
So even that Bible book he did, The Damned.
Yeah.
Did
that even?
I'm sorry. Pardon me. The Goddamned.
The Goddamned
is what it was actually called.
The Goddamned.
Good Lord, it's grim stuff.
Well, maybe he has the wherewithal to like look at that run of Avengers he did and everything he's done before this and go, man, I'm doing the same thing over and over again, and I'm not happy with my superhero stuff. Make me do something that I would never do. Give me a shot. And then you want to do TMNT? Fuck yeah. How about Uncle Scrooge? Let's do it.
I mean, I'm sure it's very challenging, like fulfilling and challenging from a creative. It's
gotta be, right? And I mean, now you can't do anything real different with it. Like you're gonna have to do the duck story, but that doesn't mean it's it's gonna be bad. We just did,
I mean it's gonna be Uncle Scrooge,
right?
Comics
swimming in pools full of money and like he's a billionaire and whatever. I don't know. I mean, I'm curious. Marvel thinks there's money to be made here, so they're doing it in-house and not at IDW. I'll say that. We'll see what happens. I don't know. How does this sell? I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, they're not putting they're making money from the IDW stuff too. So I don't know. Like
this is a choice to bring it in-house and do it themselves.
I can speculate only because I follow a lot of Disney stuff.
Sure.
And right now, the company is looking to save money left and right.
Yeah.
So it could be that they're bringing it in house so they don't have to pay an outside company to do something. They could do something. They already own a company that does. I mean, it sounds ridiculous because it seems. Minuscule to their $23 billion profit this last quarter. But, it's like you never know. Any little thing. If you actually saw the chart, I don't know if anyone's actually seen the chart that's out there of what Disney owns.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane.
It's nuts.
It is insane.
It's just depressing, really.
Yeah. Well, part of why I say that is because there was some speculation that Disney may start selling off some of these smaller bits and pieces of the company because they're not profitable for them. They just because they've accumulated so much over the last 25 years.
That wouldn't surprise me. Look how many times Warner Brothers has been sold in the past 10 years.
Right.
I mean, come on.
Well, there's a rumor out there that Warner Brothers and is going to buy Paramount.
Yeah.
And then there's a rumor that Apple's going to buy Disney, and it's crazy the amount of rumors that are out there, but you don't know what's true and what's not, because then you got somebody like Elon Musk who comes along and says, yeah, I'm going to buy Twitter, and then he does, and then completely, flushes it down the toilet.
Well, he's trying to prove a point, bro. He's trying to prove a point, all right? X, and you call it X, bro. That's his name, bro. X.
don't think that's how he talks, but
no, that's how his defenders talk.
Got a little
Joe.
bit of an accent.
Gotcha,
that is how his
that's
defenders
how
talk on the internet. They love it.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. And I do think they are bringing this Disney stuff in-house because you look at it and you go, why are we farming this shit out? One. Two, if there's money to be made here, let's go make the money. And Mark brought it up. Carl Barks and Don Rosa have created a whole world for these duck characters, like literally just the duck characters. And it's amazing. And you could tell any kind of story you want.
Yeah, but Carl Barks fucking hates it or Don Rosa fucking hates it when you call it DuckTales, though.
Yeah.
Don't call it DuckTales.
Don't call it DuckTales. Don't
he
do it.
gets super bent out of shape about it.
I mean, like, DuckTales was a distilled version, maybe, of what they did, you know? Like, look, I loved DuckTales, but it doesn't come close to touching what they actually did in those runs. And I only read a couple. And I can't remember who it was. It was a huge duck nerd when we were at Krypton, but they were like, read this. And I went, fine. And I took it home and read it and went, it was Peter Talley. That's who it was. And I read it and I was like, oh my God, this was great. Like, it was just a ton of fun. So you could tell whatever story you want there.
Shout out to Pete.
Yeah. All right. It is 12:01. I got a hungry wife, so I got to get out of here. But this is a good gang hang. Good to see everybody.
Yes, sir.
We'll see you next Saturday.
Hungry wife, hungry life.
Same THN time, same THN channel for now. THN.
Later, guys.
Signing off, kids.
Later.